me personally, my work vehicle too, I'm always keeping it clean and washing it. Because I like going to work in a clean vehicle without crap everywhere all over the place.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mine's full of empty water bottles and empty energy drink cans. I could
Well,
probably make $100 on recycling if I emptied out my car.
welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, the show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success. I'm Bill Reiman, your broker builder, here with my co-host,
Nate Swink. Good morning, Bill. Billy B.
Good morning, Nate. Good to have you here. Another week's gone by, another week of business conducted. You and I were talking about that a little bit before the show too. We're both rocking our RK Reiman construction lids here, looking good. Look at that. That thing looks fresh, man. So, looking forward to another week with you, man, talking another topic, and we'll have an interview on the next episode. So you guys stay tuned. We got a good interview coming up for you. But this week, we're going to continue our trends of topics, and we're just going to go all in on company culture, building a positive company culture. All in on it. But before we get started, Nate, what do we got on this show?
All right. So the TCS podcast, we got 3 styles of episodes. 1 is a deep dive into a specific topic. That's what we're doing today. Number 2 is construction news. And number 3 is we bring on an expert in a specific field and interview them and see how their specific experience can help you, the listener. Take it away, Bill.
Company culture. Crucial thing. Very crucial. Everybody should have focus on company culture. That's what we're talking about today. Obviously, before we get started, like, share, comment, spread the word. It goes a long way for Nate and I on this podcast. We take a lot of time, put a lot of effort into each and every show for you guys. Appreciate all of you that tune in every week on YouTube and listen to the audio version. Tell your friends, family, we're here to help you. Reach out to Nate and I also too. We wanna answer your questions on the show. So bring us some questions. Hit us up on Instagram, DM us, Facebook, wherever you can find us on every social media platform. But Nate, company culture is huge, man. It's I put a big focus on it, I think, this year more than ever. Just kind of establishing what culture is, bringing it up in our meetings constantly on a consistent basis, setting up our office that way. You went by our office and just kind of how we have the core values, the company history, and the mission and everything of what we do, why we're here. So I think a lot of businesses struggle with company culture, or they don't have an established company culture, or they don't understand what culture is, because they just kind of think it's business is all about just making money. But to make more money, you got to have good culture, you got to have good employees, you got to have people that buy in to what you want, which is your culture of business. So Nate, talk about it a little bit, what you're doing at Swink's Welding with your company culture. I know you've been kind of working on that as well.
And part of that is like defining company values, core values, standards. We went over that in a previous episode. I think it was 2 episodes back, number 27 or 26. So I would give that a listen and then give this one a listen. This is kind of plays off of that. But yeah, man, company culture, we're going to break it down into a few different areas, right? Employee engagement, safety in that culture, and then celebrating success. I think those are 3 areas that are critical in any construction business in the culture. So what do we specifically do? We can get into that. But I think culture too is something that you don't necessarily see the ROI on it. It's hard to see the ROI, but there's a major ROI on it. You invest into your culture, you're going to get employees that work harder. You're going to get employees that stay later and do more than they're paid. And trust me, you will see, and you'll see a huge difference, right? People taking ownership, people handling things as soon as they see them instead of pointing fingers, right? And the flip side to the company culture is like you get what you tolerate. That's my baseline. When I'm thinking company culture, when I'm thinking values, I'm thinking you get what you tolerate. So if you're tolerating people showing up late, that's what your culture is going to be. I can give you an example. And this broke my heart, and I was almost in tears that I had to do this. This worker for me, he was in the shop. He's a fabricator. He went from being just a helper to like learning more and more and more, and really was a good hand. But he consistently showed up late, 1 minute late, 5 minutes late, whatever it is. Even 1 minute is late, right? If you show up 1 minute late at my company, you get sent home for the day without pay. How's that for culture, right? You sound like a damn tyrant Nazi. Hey, you know what? It weeds him out. This guy was a great welder, a great fabricator, made money. But here's a good example of culture right here. He came in 5 minutes late. Another employee said, "Hey, you can't clock in, bro. You got to go home. The rule is we show up on time. Not 1 minute late. We show up on time or early." And the guy said back to them, "No, I'm not going home. I didn't find out about this because this was in the shop building, and I'm over at the other end of the yard in our office building till the next day." This employee was already like the last warning. "Hey, you show up late again, you're out of here." I didn't want to fire the guy because I really liked him, and I knew he was going through some personal things. But I'd already offered him grace more than enough. That's the other thing. Part of culture is, you don't fire somebody right away. You give them some grace. You help them personally. You try to help develop them. You give them grace. But to a point, enough's enough, right? And I had to let the guy go because I was thinking, if I don't let that guy go, the rest of the team is upholding the values. The rest of the team is upholding the culture and keeping that guy accountable. That's when you've made it, right? Is when each employee holds each other accountable. That's the goal. So I had to fire the guy. So that's just a recent example from a few weeks ago. But I see too many contractors. I was talking to a guy the other day, and I told him that. He says, "Oh, that's insane. Why would you do that? He was only a couple minutes late. He's a good worker." Bro, that's not the standard we want to set. You start slipping in that one area, everything else is going to fall downhill. And that guy who said that has a small peanut brain. He's a short thinker. Because I'm not thinking now. I'm thinking in 5-10 years when I have over 100 guys. If I don't set that standard now, when am I going to set it? With 100 guys, if each guy's coming in 1 minute, 2 minutes late, that's going to be a mess, right? So that's just a quick example of one thing. I could talk all day about it.
No, it's a great example what you're doing, because here's what my opinion with company culture is, and with the people listening out there that don't really have one. The first thing you need to do is understand what what company culture actually is, which Nate was touching on that. But start assessing your current company cultures. Start assessing your current situation is where you should start. Is there even any kind of culture within? Is there any morale between your employees? Is there any things that, is there core values? Do you have a mission statement? Do you go into your team meetings, and do you even have team meetings? Do you go into those meetings explaining what the vision is of what the company is going to be? And do you see your employees happy to be there, coming to work, showing up early, like Nate said, or making it part of the culture that they have to be on time? Do you see those things? So I think it needs to start with assessing where you currently are. And then you go into, like Nate said, we should define our core values. Whatever those core values are, you guys need to check out that episode on how that all works. Nate and I got into a lot of detail on that. But come up with your set of core values, whether it's 3 of them, 4 of them, 7 of them, whatever. I wouldn't do more than 10. That's way too much. I wouldn't probably, but Nate and I got into that too. We're not going to get into too much detail today, but I would define the core values of the company. And then that's where your kind of culture begins too. And that's where you foster in that culture based off of those core values. And everybody who's working within that business works within those values of the company too. So just going off what you said, man, I mean, having a good culture to me, and like I said, we've been really working on it this year, as far as, you know, having more team meetings, having separate meetings with the people out in the field, having a separate meeting with, you know, the selections people, and just building that teamwork, that camaraderie within the group to where we all know we have each other's backs. You know, that's part of like the culture that I'm establishing, is that I'm here to help you as the leader. I'm here to go, you know, through thick and thin with you. If you're stressed, I'm going to take a lot off your plate to try and relieve some of that stress, because that's what leadership is too. So I think company culture also stems from the leader. Without a good leadership role, there's probably no good company culture if you have a bad leader. So you should probably go somewhere else, in my opinion, where there's good leadership, because usually where there's good leadership, good company culture follows suit with that too. So that's kind of my perspective on it as well. But I can get into a little bit. Nate, I'll let you go for a little bit on some other things, on what you're doing as far as your culture too.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think, you know, you set the pace, right? That's a thing a lot of people don't understand. Oh, why aren't my employees working as hard as me? Blah, blah, blah. Because they're not the freaking owner. They're not going to, right? If you set the pace of a 10,
Hmm.
your employees should naturally, if they're good, should naturally rise to an 8 or a 7, 7.5, 8, right? Maybe if you got a GOAT employee, he might be an 8.5, but they're not going to rise to 9 and 10 and be at your level, because they don't own the company, and you can't expect that. But that's the thing. So if you're setting your example at a 5 and you're wondering, oh, well, I'm going on vacation every other month and doing this and doing that, why are my employees so shitty? Well, it's because you're shitty, right? If you're not working hard, they don't see you setting the standard, or someone in your leadership, right? Once you scale a company and it's established, yeah, maybe you can go because they understand, you know. But they need to have a clear picture of what it looks like to be, you know, successful and upholding the standards, right? Another thing, going into other little standards that we do, most fabrication shops, even the biggest companies, they don't require, excuse me, I'm burping from my energy drink, blue raspberry plug for First Form Energy.
Wouldn't be an
Good stuff.
episode if Nate didn't burp.
So, yeah, most of the big shops, right? They don't make their employees wear hard hats, which doesn't make any sense to me. You're in the steel business, right? So, what do we require? We require high vis, either a safety vest, or our company shirts are high vis, and a hard hat and safety glasses at all times. You step foot in the yard, as soon as the guys get out of their cars and they walk through the front gate, if they're not wearing that, they already know. They already know, dude. If you're not wearing your shit, you're going to get sent home also. So they come through the gate, hard hat, glasses, vest. Okay. And doing little things like that, which that's actually a big thing, will trickle effect. All these little things that you think, oh, that's stupid. Why do you do that? That's not that big a deal. It builds discipline. Without them even knowing, it builds discipline in them. They're showing up on time. They're wearing their safety gear. They're wearing a higher level of safety gear and holding a higher safety standard than even the biggest steel companies in the world. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing right there. Also, how clean our yard is. The guys know the expectation of how clean the yard is. And when it's a mess, the guys that really hold the culture, they get pissed at the other guys and say, hey, we don't do that. What are you doing? You made my yard a freaking mess. Clean this up. This is unacceptable. where contractors come in, other steel guys who are subs of ours come in, they say, wow, man, your guys' yard is clean. We don't have a tiny yard. Our yard's over half an acre. There's probably well over 180,000 pounds of steel sitting on the floor of our yard, right? And they say, man, your yard is the cleanest steel yard I've ever seen. Steel business is a dirty mess, bro. You know how hard it is to have a clean place? We don't have trash laying around. We don't have junk. If we have junk, we throw it away or get rid of it, right? It's all those little standards that trickle effect, and they slowly start to change your employees' mentality, starts to build them discipline without them even knowing, just those little things.
Yeah, no, man, I love that because it really is your culture is shaped by the little things that you do, especially like I said in the leadership role too. So if you show up, if you the way you dress, the way you present yourself as the leader, the way you show up every day to work, and how you help and collaborate and help your employees out too, they're going to help each other. If you make it a business of where people can make decisions for themselves rather than you micromanaging those employees too, that is defining the culture because they feel the freedom to make the right decision. uh, and they'll go to you still too as the leader as well. But what you said too, the little standards like the clean job sites, that's big for us too. That's a standard at RK Reiman Construction. Our subcontractors know that's our standard. We have signs in front of our job sites that say, please clean up. And it's just the standard we set as a builder, too, where we want everything clean. Whenever I go to a job site, I'm picking up trash. If I see something and I'm in a meeting with somebody, even with the client, I pick up trash and I'll have a handful of trash while I'm talking to them, and then I'll take it to the dumpster after I'm done. So it's just doing those things, having the client see it, having your employees see it, like Nate said. Your employees will then go to the subcontractors when they're making a mess and say, hey, pick that up, because they know the standard too. Just as long, and like Nate said too, it's all what they wear: the hard hats, the vest, the Swink welding gear that they have, the RK Ryman gear. They're proud to wear that stuff. They take care of it, they keep it clean, just like their work vehicles too. They have a work vehicle, it's labeled with our lettering on it. They keep it clean, they wash it. I have an employee that washes his work truck every weekend. I have another one that keeps his van clean, super clean and straightened out inside and stuff. So, and with me personally, my work vehicle too, I'm always keeping it clean and washing it. Because I like going to work in a clean vehicle without crap everywhere all over the place.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mine's full of empty water bottles and empty energy drink cans. I could
Well,
probably make $100 on recycling if I emptied out my car.
yeah, but is yours a lettered vehicle? Is it lettered up? You just drive your regular vehicle, personal vehicle, right?
It's lettered up with MB on it. Mercedes Benz.
Well,
No,
there you
it's not
go.
lettered.
Yeah, see, mine's a lettered one, so I want, ours is literally a representation of our company because it has our logo on it, so I keep it clean, exterior, interior too. And if I have to drive clients around, I want it clean. So
Yep, for sure.
those are things that you should be doing. And a lot of the stuff Nate and I are talking about, if you listen to the past episodes, go check them all out. Like, a lot of those episodes revolve around company culture, because a lot of the stuff we teach revolves it literally encompasses all this stuff that we're talking about too, leading to a good culture within your business. Some of the stuff that we're doing now too, just to make it more of a family. Like, obviously we're a family business, but a lot of our employees obviously aren't blood family, but we want to make them feel like they're part of the family. So we do monthly lunches. End of the month, we'll take the employees out to lunch, on us, on the company. And we all just hang out, talk normal, joke around. It's always a fun time. And we pick the restaurant for the month in the team meeting, and we kind of decide where we all want to go. We go somewhere local, and it's a good thing to give back to your employees who are working, super hard for you, dedicating their time and dedication for your company. I mean, obviously they're the biggest part of your company too, so you want to take care of them. So that's one thing we do. We do a yearly event. We're probably going to do more two events a year. I'm thinking there's golf tournament coming up this spring. We're probably going to get into that too with our employees, and just doing different things, man. That builds that culture too. But like I said, every single week we have the meeting. I do a roundtable discussion. I always thank them for all they're doing, because I mean they go all out for what we're doing with building houses and luxury homes. So I thank each and every one of them individually. Go around the table. I say, good job at this. Mason, good job at this. Kathy, good job at this. My sister, good job at this. And then I always say where we're going. I always say the vision. Here's where we're going. Guys, keep doing what you're doing, because here's where we're going to end up. We're going to end up being the top luxury builder in the state of Florida. Here's how we're going to get there. Here's how we're going to get to Naples. I'm talking to this person, this person, this person, setting that path and that tone of where we're going, that vision, so they know that they're not just doing this for nothing.
Yep, for sure.
That's where that comes in, man. That's
Yeah,
that
and then
culture.
tie in that vision back into something that they want, right? Something
Yeah.
that really hits home emotionally for them, that will help them, their family, everything else. I think the biggest hang up people have with culture, because I'm sure you and I and anybody who's in business deals with this, it's all about holding the line, man. You have
Yeah.
to hold the line, and you have to hold people accountable. And that goes back to the episode that just dropped on the 9th of February, which is like handling conflict. There was a time I had to talk to our assistant estimator in the office, because she kept showing up late, 10 minutes late, whatever, 15 minutes late. And she's on salary, but she would also stay 10 minutes late, right? So naturally, you want to justify it. Well, if she's showing up 10 minutes late, but then she stays 10 minutes late, well, it's okay, right? No, it's not okay, because that's not the expectation. The staying late is extra. That's the icing on the cake. But you still gotta show up on time, right? So I think so many contractors, you miss that mark. Again, that contractor I was talking to yesterday, he says, well, I wouldn't send them home. I would just make them work. If you show up late, now you got to work an extra 30 minutes at the end of your shift. Really? How the hell does that teach them discipline? Hey, you showed up late, so I'm going to give you 30 minutes of overtime. Are you stupid? Come on, guys. You have to change your way of thinking, or you're not going to grow your construction business. You're not going to have the power of culture. You're not going to have the power of people doing more than they're paid to do, willing to run through a wall for you and your company. You're not going to get that by thinking short term. Okay, you have to hold the standards. You have to have a set of balls, hold the standard. And if people don't adhere to that, then you need to have the conversation and not beat around the bush. And I think that's the biggest miss, because I struggle with it, man. For 2 days, I had her write up on my desk. And I'm like, man, she does work really hard. I don't know. And I'm like, you know what, dude, what are you doing? The standard's the standard, and that's the standard. That's it. No one's above the standard. Boom. Hey, come into my office. This is what's going on. I believe in you. You can do better. I'm not, right? That's also part of culture. You're not here just to rip everybody's ass, but you say, hey, I'm disappointed because I see you. I see what probably no one else sees in you. There's greatness inside of there. But you got to work harder. You got to be more disciplined, right? And that's what a real leader should be doing. And that builds company culture. So,
yeah, that's so spot on, man. And kind of going off of that too, it's like the holding the standard thing. You got to constantly remind and keep accountable that standard of what you are as a company, what your culture truly is, like you just said. And that goes back to even in a partnership, even with family too. Like, we just had an instance at a house where the client wasn't happy with the wood floor variations. There was variation in the color of the wood. It's wood flooring. It happens, but he didn't like it. I mean, he's building a multi-million-dollar house. The client doesn't like it. We got to make the client happy. But what happened was they said they were going to fix it, the flooring company, and then at the time my brother didn't review it and look at everything. He saw the really bad pieces. He had them take those out, but there was more pieces, but they covered the floor right away. Well, the client went to the house, floors are covered, and he didn't get to approve it himself. And that's a problem. And then going back to our standard, do it right the first time, get it done right, whatever the client wants, make the client happy. Don't just wait. But my brother's like, we're going to make it right, we're going to make it right. And I said, well, why not make it right now while those guys are there working? Why would we have them come back later on after we uncover the floor? So we're going to uncover that floor down the road, and then the client's going to see it, and then down the road he's going to get pissed off. So why not just deal with the situation now where the client sees it, give him the ability to mark whatever other pieces, take blue tape and mark the pieces that he doesn't want, which he's doing this weekend, and we'll fix it now. That way we stop the problem from happening later. And my brother's like, yeah, you're right. That's what we should be doing. We should be just getting it, because it's going to help us later on. It's going to save us aggravation later on. It's going to stop the client from being aggravated later on. And that's our standard. Do it right the first time. So what I had the tile company or the floor installers go back there. This is a 6,000 square foot house. They had to rip up all the paper on the floor that they spent time putting down, but unfortunately they put it down too quick. So they pulled up all the paper, and I told the client that I'm going to leave him a roll of blue tape, go there this weekend. He's there today, probably as we speak, and he's marking up the pieces that he wants taken. Now, if it's excessive, I talked to my brother and I said, when we go there Monday and if we see the whole floor blue taped, that's going to lead to a meeting with the client. And we're going to say, there's variation in wood. You can't be super, but if I get where he's saying, if it looks like a striped zebra or something, and the floor is staggered and looks not right, I get it. We'll pull those pieces. So doing it, I mean, that standard, man, just doing it. And I told my superintendent that same thing, because he even questioned. I was like, are we ripping up that floor? He goes, well, we got cabinets coming Monday. I go, we can delay the cabinet delivery, man. We got to make this right.
Yeah,
I
don't
don't
stack the
care.
problem. Don't
Yeah.
make another problem.
Yeah, we're going to deliver cabinets when the floors aren't right. Like, I could care less about that. Let's get this right. We can delay the cabinets, or we can just put the cabinets in an area that he doesn't have marked, and we'll stack them in that area and have them out of the
Yep.
way, or we'll put them in the garage.
Yeah.
So, it's
Yeah.
just, go ahead.
Another thing, to help build your company culture, get everybody together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it once a month. There's certain parts of company culture I'm good at, and other parts I'm really bad at, right? We get everybody together at least like every 3 months, but you really should, like Bill said, either have a barbecue for your guys every month. It might seem excessive, right? But the tighter the bond is with everybody, the harder they're going to work, right? The more they talk, hey, I'm going through this, my kid's sick, he's got this, whatever, cancer, whatever it is, those guys are going to fight for each other harder.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to work harder for each other. So build that bond. Another thing that we're working on is we're partnering up with a nonprofit, and that also will build your culture, right? Everybody together giving back, right? Just like what TPG did. They all hiked the Grand Canyon. That's a grueling, emotional experience that they did together. Do you think that bonded them? You think they're going to fight hard? You want to talk about culture? Some of Brian's employees have one team freaking tattooed on them. Do your employees have your logo tattooed on them? That's fucking culture. That is like above and beyond culture right there. Okay, so how do you not only just do a standard lunch or something, but how do you quarterly, or maybe at least a couple times a year, get your employees to really experience something? We're partnering with a nonprofit that helps homeless, it helps orphans, everything else. And one of the things we can help them do is pay and host a birthday party for all the orphans whose birthday is in whatever month. How emotional would that be, dude? Seeing these little kids who don't have any family, no one to even throw them a birthday party, and we show up and throw them a birthday party. You think that will bond some people? I'm about to kind of tear up. That's pretty shitty. You know, I have a little girl. Imagine her not having any family. That's horrible. That is going to bond your team. So do things like that as well. What else do I have? Oh, something that I'm bad at, celebrating successes. I'm bad at that because I don't celebrate my own successes.
Yeah.
Okay. As owners, we're super, super hard on ourselves, and that's good. That's how we achieve high standards and how we're, going to beat out our competition. But you need to celebrate successes. All right. And some of this, if you're not good at it, is just having other people in the company and management to help you, right? A lot of the times with the barbecues, I get so busy, I'm just going, laser focused. And different people in my office will say, hey, we should have a barbecue next week. It's been a little while. We should get the team together. Great idea. Thank you. I appreciate that because sometimes I don't even think about it. I'm just trying to kill. I'm trying to grow. So have other people around you who will help in your weak points of the culture, right? And with celebrating success, K&L does this very well. I need to do it better. I think everybody should continually improve on this. But how cool would it be and how more bought in would your employees be on the workforce side, right? The guy's doing the welding, the guy's doing the framing, whatever. If in a team meeting you just said, hey, dude, this guy did an exceptional job. He is, he really emulated these two core values and appreciate that. Here's $300 cash in front of everybody, right? It kind of makes it real right there. So, or $250 or $200, whatever. You're saying, oh, wow, I can't afford that. Well, you wonder why your company sucks. That $200 is going to get you a way bigger ROI because that guy's bought in.
Yeah, I want to touch on the build the bond thing you said is huge, because when you build camaraderie with your team and you have those monthly lunches or barbecues or even awards, like you said, doing awards for top person that exemplified the core values of the company. I've seen that. There's a guy in the group that does really well with that. Um, and doing those things though, building that bond, because when times are hard, people are going to stick with you because they have that bond. When they're struggling, when they're super stressed out, when they're burning out too, they're going to stay with you, because there's a lot of people that won't, if they don't have that good company culture. They'll just leave because they don't want to deal with the burnout and the stress. But in construction, you're constantly, you're going to deal with a lot of stress. You're going to deal with some burnout because you're getting hit left and right constantly with a lot of stuff all at once. And if we didn't have a good established culture, I think we'd have problems maintaining employees and keeping them with us. But because we have such a tight bond and we're such a tight group, everybody wants to stick with us and for the long run, because they see the vision, but they want to be a part of it too, and they love being a part of it. Another thing with the awards too, that's huge. We do, like, obviously in Christmas we gave actual gifts to our employees, two meaningful gifts. One of our guys, big time griller, we got him a Blackstone. He always wanted one, and we got him a nice Blackstone. And that dude, he talks about it all the time, how he uses that thing every single night. And we got some other people, some other things that they really wanted for the holidays too, on top of their bonuses as well. But doing those things kind of builds that culture. But the awards too, like giving an award for the month or the quarter, even just doing a quarterly award of who exemplified the best core values out of all your employees too. That's going to drive your employees. Like Nate said, that's going to keep them engaged and trying to get better. Uh, having workshops too, like I try and every single week I try and deliver some kind of value at the beginning of the meeting. So it's not just the stuff going on within the business. It's not just talking about the houses we're building. It's more educational at the beginning, more of the kind of the leadership part of it we do at the beginning, and then we get into the discussion about the houses, and then we do an open-end table so everybody can kind of speak their mind on what's going on too. But also in culture too, if you have an issue with an employee, do it separately. Don't do it in front of people, because if you do it in front of people and ridicule an employee in front of everybody, you're establishing a bad culture of you being basically a gossiper, or somebody that's just going to call people out. You're going to scare your employees because they're not going to talk, they're not going to contribute, they're going to be afraid of you too. So always do things behind the scenes. If there's a problem, like Nate was talking about with this lady that he was having issues with, he brought her into his office for a write-up and had that discussion separately. So those are some things too with culture, just to kind of wrap this up. But a lot of that stuff, Nate, like you said, celebrating success, I think we all need to do better at that. I personally do. We're kind of, as entrepreneurs, we're go, go, go. We got so many other things going on, but we don't stop and just be like, man, we're doing pretty good. Like, we're about to build on, like, I was thinking this as you were saying that, and I should bring my team. I'm starting to, these ideas are running. Like, we're building on one of the most expensive lot that ever sold in Marco Island. And we should celebrate that by doing something with the newspaper, with the team, having everybody involved, like really showcase that. I started thinking this, and it's like, celebrate that success. That's an opportunity that a lot of builders want, and we got it. So let's showcase it with the team, and how proud I am of them to get us to that position too. So just go out, celebrate your successes. I mean, I hope this helped, Nate. I don't know if you have any more stuff. I think we hit on, this was a good one, really good one. So you guys are going to probably want to play this one back, but we got a lot of good points on culture on this one, I think.
No, I think it's just, continually develop, right? There's some good books out there on
Yeah.
this. You know, just continually develop, man. Develop your mind. If you're in TCS, get on the calls.
Yep.
And, if you're continually developing, you'll be able to continually develop your culture.
Yeah.
But if you're not, it's going to suck.
It's true. And I mean, being in TCS, following what Brian does, Brian's got a really good culture at the Pavement Group. Obviously, I mean, I've met a lot of the people in there, and Brian's done a really good job with culture too. So if you're somebody out there too that wants to learn a little bit more about culture, reach out to us, man. We can set you up too with the call with Brian too. You can talk culture, and you can kind of take a look at what he's doing over there. Check out his company too. And Nate and I are building ours too, so you guys are following our journey. And yeah, man, this was a really good episode. We appreciate everybody listening. Thank you all. Like, share, comment, subscribe, 5-star review. You know the routine. And Nate and I will see you guys on the next episode.